Dogtrot house design perfectly combine rustic charm and modern style.
There is a profound, almost magnetic tension in the world of architectural design today. For decades, we have been caught in a fierce tug-of-war between two entirely opposite aesthetics. On one side, we have the allure of the rustic, spaces that are deeply tactile, rich with history, and filled with materials that tell the story of the earth. But unchecked, rustic design can quickly devolve into clutter, darkness, and a heavy, outdated atmosphere. On the other side, we have the pinnacle of modernism: sharp lines, expansive glass, unyielding geometry, and brilliant efficiency. Yet, pure modernism often leaves us feeling cold, clinical, and completely disconnected from the warmth of human habitation. But what if we refuse to choose? What if the ultimate expression of domestic architecture lies not at the extremes of either style, but in the exact, perfectly calibrated center? What if we could take the ancient, deeply comforting soul of the past and forge it together with the crisp, uncompromising precision of the future? This is the holy grail of residential design, the seamless, perfect fusion of rustic charm and modern style. And to achieve this delicate alchemy, architects and visionary homeowners are turning to one specific historic blueprint: the Dogtrot house. By its very nature, two distinct pavilions separated by an open central void, the Dogtrot is the ultimate canvas for contrast. It is an architecture that inherently understands balance. Today, we are going to dive deep into the specific design principles, the sensory psychology, and the material science required to pull off this aesthetic miracle. We will explore exactly how to harness the tension between the raw and the refined, creating a Dogtrot home that feels incredibly old, yet breathtakingly new. Let us explore the 5 pillars of the perfect rustic-modern fusion. The fundamental secret to combining rustic and modern styles without the house looking like a confused, chaotic mess is mastering the concept of textural tension. The human eye is drawn to contrast. When everything in a room is rough and heavy, the eye becomes exhausted. When everything is glossy and smooth, the eye becomes bored. The perfect Dogtrot design forces these two extremes into a beautiful, intentional collision. Designers achieve this through the strict application of what is often called the 80-20 rule of texture. You establish a dominant architectural envelope, usually clean, sharp, and modern, and then you violently disrupt it with massive, hyper-rustic focal points. Imagine standing in the active pavilion of a Dogtrot. The walls are not covered in traditional, heavy, knotty pine. Instead, they are finished in a level 5, museum-quality smooth drywall painted in a crisp gallery white. The window frames are razor-thin, black architectural steel, creating perfect geometric squares. Against this completely sterile, highly refined modern backdrop, you introduce the rustic soul. You suspend colossal, hand-hewn timber trusses across the vaulted ceiling. Because the surrounding walls are so quiet and modern, the brutal, scarred texture of the ancient wood is amplified tenfold. The timber becomes a piece of massive floating sculpture. You might pour a flawlessly smooth, radiantly heated concrete floor, but you anchor the room with a massive, irregular, natural stone hearth. It is this exact friction, the smooth glass against the rough stone, the clean drywall against the splintered wood, that generates the unmistakable magic of the rustic modern aesthetic. Each style elevates the other, preventing the home from ever feeling like a cliché. Modernism is obsessed with perfection. It seeks materials that look identical on day 1 as they will on day 1000. It loves plastics, synthetic laminates, and high-gloss chromes. Rustic design, however, is obsessed with time. It reveres materials that age, weather, and document the passage of the years. To perfectly combine these two styles in a Dogtrot house, you must curate a material palette that embraces the color of time. This means actively selecting living finishes for the most heavily utilized elements of the home, while housing them within strict modern silhouettes. Take the kitchen, for example. The layout and the cabinetry might be brutally minimalist, flat panels, hidden appliances, and sharp right angles. But instead of topping those modern cabinets with synthetic quartz or glossy granite, the master designer chooses honed soapstone or leathered granite. These natural stones have a dull, chalky finish that slowly absorbs the oils from your hands and your cooking, deepening in color and developing a rich, uneven patina that feels profoundly organic and historic. The hardware and fixtures follow the exact same philosophy. A rustic modern dogtrot rejects the shiny, sterile perfection of polished chrome or nickel. Instead, the home is outfitted with unlacquered brass, raw copper, and oil-rubbed bronze. When first installed, an unlacquered brass door handle might look bright and modern. But as the months pass, as the humidity of the breezeway hits it, and as the family uses it daily, the metal begins to tarnish. It darkens, it mottles, and it develops a deep, antique character. By wrapping these beautifully aging, deeply rustic materials inside the crisp, precise geometry of modern architecture, the home achieves an aesthetic depth that feels both highly engineered and deeply human. The defining feature of the Dogtrot house is its connection to the outdoors. The central breezeway is a permanent structural tribute to nature. In historic dogtrots, the separation between the indoor cabins and the outdoor breezeway was maintained by heavy log walls and small, practical wooden doors. But to drag this layout into the pinnacle of modern luxury, we must completely rethink the boundary between inside and out. The Perfect Rustic-Modern Dogtrot relies on the modern marvel of structural glazing to completely dissolve the visual barrier between the enclosed pavilions and the wild environment. Modernism contributes to technology. Massive, multi-panel sliding glass pocket doors that span from the floor to the ceiling. These doors are engineered with such precision that they can vanish entirely into hidden wall cavities, literally erasing the physical wall of the home. But the rustic charm dictates what that modern glass is framing. When you are sitting in your minimalist, climate-controlled living room and you look through that massive expanse of modern glass, you are not looking at a perfectly manicured, chemical green suburban lawn. You are looking at the raw, heavy timber of your covered breezeway and the wild, unkempt beauty of the natural landscape beyond. The modern glass acts as a permanent, invisible picture frame for the rustic wilderness. When the weather is beautiful and those massive glass walls are slid away, the entire dogtrot transforms into a single flowing pavilion. The crisp, clean interior of the home spills effortlessly out onto the rugged, weathered deck of the breezeway, achieving an absolute synthesis of shelter and nature. One of the greatest challenges in combining rustic charm with modern style is dealing with the ugly reality of 21st century technology. We want the romance of a 19th century frontier cabin, but we absolutely refuse to give up our high-speed internet, our zoned climate control, and our smart home automation. If you simply bolt a white plastic thermostat to a beautiful reclaimed timber wall, or hang a massive flat-screen television over a historic stone fireplace, the illusion is instantly shattered. The magic dies. The masterstroke of the Perfect Rustic-Modern Dogtrot is the concept of the invisible machine. The architecture must operate with cutting-edge, high-tech modern efficiency, but all of that machinery must be completely camouflaged within the rustic aesthetic. Modern design provides the sleek, integrated solutions required to hide the wires, the screens, and the vents. For climate control, designers abandon traditional, bulky ceiling registers. Instead, they utilize ultra-sleek, linear slot diffusers that are painted matte black and hidden inside the shadow gaps of the architectural woodwork. The air conditioning is felt, but the source is entirely invisible. In the kitchen, the massive stainless steel appliances, the refrigerators, the dishwashers, and the ventilation hoods are completely concealed behind custom, rustic cabinetry panels. The kitchen looks like a historic, beautifully crafted culinary workshop, yet it operates with the precision of a modern commercial kitchen. Even the lighting is hidden. Instead of bright, glaring ceiling cans, the home utilizes warm, indirect LED strip lighting concealed on top of the massive wooden trusses, washing the vaulted ceiling in a soft, ethereal glow. The home possesses all the rustic charm of the past, while silently running on the invisible, high-tech engine of the future. The final and perhaps most important pillar of the rustic modern dog trot is how you treat the void. The central breezeway is the defining architectural signature of the home. It is the space that separates the active pavilion from the quiet pavilion. But in the pursuit of the perfect hybrid design, the breezeway cannot simply be treated as an empty outdoor corridor. It must be elevated. It must be treated as the ultimate curated flex space, the exact geographic location where the rustic and the modern collide. Because the breezeway is fully roofed but open to the wind, it allows designers to utilize materials that blur the line between indoor luxury and outdoor durability. The floor of the breezeway is often the great modern unifier. By pouring a massive, continuous slab of architectural concrete, perhaps slightly polished to expose the aggregate stone, the designer creates a brutalist, highly modern foundation that spans the entire width of the void. But upon this modern, indestructible foundation, the furnishings must sing with rustic soul. You do not populate the Dogtrot breezeway with cheap plastic patio furniture. You curate it like an interior living room. You place massive, solid teak or reclaimed cedar dining tables that will silver and weather beautifully in the humid air. You anchor the space with a modern, geometric fire pit made of rusted Corten steel, a material that perfectly bridges the gap between industrial engineering and organic, earthy decay. When you sit in the center of this void, with the crisp, modern glass walls of your pavilions on either side of you, the heavy timber roof protecting you from the sky, and the wild wind blowing straight through the corridor, you realize that you have achieved something extraordinary. Designing a home that perfectly combines rustic charm and modern style is not a matter of simply throwing vintage antiques into a stark white room. It is an exercise in profound architectural restraint. It requires a deep emotional understanding of how materials age, how light interacts with texture, and how human beings respond to the spaces they inhabit. The Dogtrot house, with its brilliant, historically proven two-pavilion layout, provides the ultimate framework for this aesthetic triumph. By embracing the tension between the smooth and the rough, by utilizing modern structural glass to frame the wildness of nature, and by hiding state-of-the-art technology beneath the beautiful, scarred surfaces of reclaimed wood and tarnished brass, we create a home that transcends passing design trends. We create a sanctuary that feels both ancient and engineered, a home that does not apologize for its scars, nor does it hide its precision. The rustic modern Dogtrot is more than just a beautiful house. It is a masterclass in balance. It proves that we don't have to choose between the cozy, soulful comfort of the past and the clean, liberating efficiency of the future. We can have both. We can build a home that is perfectly, beautifully balanced right in the middle. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the alchemy of design. Until next time, respect the materials, embrace the contrast, and let the beauty of the balance guide you home.